This Wisdom Oak Meritage is an amazing blend of wine. It's from the Monticello AVA, and I've decided to pair it with a lovely beef stroganoff. Now in my pan, I have 4 tablespoons of butter and 2 pounds of a beautiful tenderloin that I've just chunked. Now you don't have to use tenderloin in this, it's just my personal preference. You can use a beef that's more stew form. You can even use ground beef in this, and it's wonderful. I've had it many times, and it's so delicious. And of course, it's going to save on your budget. So, in my pan, I have my beef just starting to brown just slightly, and you want to make sure when you use chunks of beef that they are nice and dry when you put them into that hot butter, or they will just release a lot of their liquid. They'll be tough, and then they never brown. Now, just before these start to get color on them, I actually pull them out. I have a lot of liquid still left in my pan, but I want to pull the beef chunks out because I don't want to overcook them. Now you can see in my pan that I still have all of my butter and some of the moisture from the meat. To that, I'm going to add some flour. We're going to make a basic roux here. And I want to add some onions. So this is about 1 large onion. And we're doing this roux a little differently. Normally you would saute the onions, saute your mushrooms, then put in your flour, but I want them all to cook together to make a little more of a saucy roux. And I have about 24 ounces of button mushrooms, and I'm just gonna put those in. I slice those nice and thick because I want a nice meaty slice on these. And 4 cloves of garlic. Now let's just get down in the pan and really stir through. Now I'm just going to stir this through until the onions are slightly softened and the mushrooms just start to soften a touch. So my onions are starting to get a little bit of translucency here, and my mushrooms are starting to soften. Now, if your mushrooms don't release liquid and your onions don't release liquid, then add that little bit of butter just to keep everything from burning in the bottom of the pan. And now it's time to deglaze the pan. I want to take some white wine, just stir that through so that all the bits come up from the bottom of the pan. And then I want to add a couple cups of a really nice strong beef stock. And last but not least, a little Worcestershire. This really gives it a hint of salt, a little bit of richness, and just an incredible character. And we're going to simmer this for about 15 minutes. Now let's finish this up. I'm going to take my beef and all the juices that have come out of it and just put that right back down in my simmering liquid. And you can see this. The mushrooms are nice and tender, the onions are cooked through, and the sauce itself is slightly thickened. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, just like heaven. Now, I want to let that sit for just a minute, and as I do, this beef will continue to cook all the way through, and it will be nice and done, but not overly cooked. And then we're going to add some sour cream, which is what makes stroganoff that creamy, wonderful dish that it is. And just stir through. Now at this point, I want to make sure that my heat is off, or the sour cream could curdle in the sauce. Now I have some egg noodles ready. I have some parsley that I want to use to garnish this. So let's take it over and plate it up. Now stroganoff can be thick and it can be thin. This particular recipe is a little bit thinner, and that's why I like to serve it in a bowl. So delicious. Make sure you get plenty of that delicious meat. And then let's just sprinkle it with some parsley.